I don't have any shoes. I'll admit it. I will brag. Those players did not just go and whip that ass for us to be like, oh, good game. No, we whipped your ass. We took $800,000. Now we're partying with it.
Yeah, who cares if you're in the Power 5 conference if you don't win it, ever? Or you don't beat any of the teams in it? Like, what's the point of that? Wouldn't you rather win the conference and say, like, hey, my team is good, than lose the conference and say, well, our conference is good?
Well, I'll tell you what, I got two teams that got me gassed up. It's going to be a hell of a battle. Be like two dogs fighting over a milk bun.
Look, they don't call me Tip for nothing. And my tip is, look out for the group of 5 this season. They've been taking it to the Power 5 year after year.
The only quarterbacks that ever get any love are from the Power 5. I could easily list off the top group of 5 quarterbacks I would rather have than those guys. I would be willing to bet that at least one of them is going to be in the running for the Heisman this year.
Welcome, everybody, to the Group of 5 Guys podcast, episode 1. Here we are. We are your Group of 5 Guys. I'm your host, co-founder of the Group of 5 Guys, Matt Sprouse, coming to you live. Can't wait to introduce you to the boys, get this show on the road, get this thing started. First things first, don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, at Group of 5 Guys, and join the Facebook group, Group of 5 Guys. You can watch this podcast via YouTube.
America, go to the YouTube right now.
Or you can listen to the podcast just with audio on any of your podcast streaming apps. First things first, let me introduce you to the other founder of Group of 5 Guys, my brother, Jesse Swag Bear Grisham. What's up, brother?
Sprouse, good to be here, man. Not much, man. I'm excited to get this thing on the get this thing started. Here with 4 of my good buddies, and it's been a long time coming. Like you said, the season is right around the corner, and I can taste it. I'm fired up, baby.
God, it smells good. It tastes good. Can't
smell
wait.
The sweat on the players. Just,
I can't. You can, but that's all right. Excited to bring to you another great friend of ours, our buddy handling the board, handling the sound, editing, Jeff Murphy, the quarterback. What's up, Murph?
What's going on, boys? Fired up to be here, ready to talk some Group of 5 football, man. Drinking a nice cold beer of my Group of 5 Guys koozie. Go get your merch at our website. But yeah, man, season's here. I don't care. Camp starts in about a week. Ready to rock and roll, boys. Let's do this thing.
Hell yeah, man. Can't wait. Moving on over. Nashville, Tennessee. Number 1 saddle salesman in the world. Zeke Anderson.
What's happening, Group of 5 fam? I'm here to share my enthusiasm about the Group of 5, especially about the Sun Belt, and talk ball with my boys.
Well, Zeke, you look fantastic. I'm really glad to see not only the white alternate Group of 5 guy polo, but also the cowboy hat and the feather. You look better than ever.
Appreciate it. Happy to be here.
Yes, sir. And last but certainly not least, the 5th member of the Group of 5 Guys, as we are a group of 5 guys, Tyler Tipton. What's up, brother?
Hey, what's going on, Sprouse? What's going on, boys? What's going on, Group of 5 fans out there? Appreciate you guys listening and tuning in and joining us, and we're excited. We're ready to talk some ball. Let's do it, boys.
Well, like we said, this is episode 1. So today we just want to kind of introduce you to what we're going to be all about. Obviously, we're going to talk Group of 5 football. We're going to talk fans. We're going to talk tailgates, bars, restaurants, stadiums, facilities. We're going to have some special guests on here. We got some coaches, some players, probably have some fans come on and join us and talk some ball. Just kind of get the message out. We're here to bring some, pride and excitement to the Group of 5 fan bases. So I'm obviously excited about it. Jesse, you look a little perplexed, like you may have seen something.
I don't know, man. Just another day. Just logging on here early, try to catch up on my notes, be nice and refreshed for the Group of 5 Guy podcast. And I see another member's in the chat room, and there he is, Zeke Anderson, butt ass naked. Why he's naked in front of the camera, trying to get the right angle, I'm not exactly sure. He still hasn't explained exactly why he was naked. And, he was naked. And I felt like, 2012 again in the locker room taking showers. It was a little weird. Haven't seen one of those in a while.
It was weird, huh? You've seen it many times.
Like 10 years ago.
Well, Zeke, you care to
Isn't this
explain
good?
yourself or what?
You're making us a little weird.
I was in the middle. I was coming home from work, fired up about the podcast. I had a new station set up going on. And in the middle of a wardrobe change, I had to sneak across and grab a brew. And I guess he saw a flash of lightning come across.
I guess we also need to clarify, we call Tipton Tip, but it's because of his last name. And it's not, is that correct, Tip, or is there a story that you'd like to share? Is there more to that?
Not that I know of.
Okay. I just didn't know if Tip counts or if it was. Tyler Tipton. Okay. Just the Tip Tipton.
Well, I think it is a good start. And the number one rule Zeke will tell you is you never are naked in the house without a beer in hand. That's rule number one. So I mean, you got to make sure you take care of that. Take care of your priorities first.
I think you did have a beer in the hand. It's pretty funny.
Well, that's what he said. He was cruising across the room to get a brew, and he was.
He wasn't expecting to see my bearded face just looking at him.
Well, I don't know why he was doing a wardrobe change. I mean, what is this, Hollywood?
Hey, man, I was getting home from work, fired up to talk to my boys. I had to throw up my Group of 5 swag, which can be accessed by the website.
Well,
in his defense, I guess you don't have to wear pants right now. I mean, who's wearing pants right now?
I was going to ask.
I'm wearing them right now.
I've not seen.
I just had to throw a shirt on.
Pants on the website. I've not seen.
Got a nice cool breeze.
Oh man, well, hey, let's get the show on the road, man. I think newsworthy story of the week is not directly Group of 5 related, but could have some effect. Have y'all seen the Texas Longhorns and Oklahoma Sooners? These greedy bastards wanting to join the SEC. I mean, Jesse, you're from Birmingham. You're from Alabama. What's your thoughts on that?
I've really never liked Texas. Last time I think I ever supported Texas was when Vince Young was there, and that was just because I despised USC. The Texas Longhorns right now, and along with Oklahoma, there's literally two teams that I actually very much despise. Trying to join the SEC, trying to remain relevant, making noise. Now, I know exactly why they're doing this. Money talks. I totally understand it. But what they're doing to every other team in the Big 12, just pretty much giving them the here's to you and just going to another conference, it just rubs me the wrong way. And I'm hoping that the American Conference, it's going to be tempting for these teams to try to want to join a Power 5 conference. But I'm here to say, put my neck out there that the American Conference, especially with Texas and Oklahoma being gone, y'all are a better conference than the Big 12. Let the Big 12 worry about the Big 12. Maybe they can go to y'all. Maybe they can join the Mountain West. But it's been an interesting thing to watch. And the next couple of weeks we'll learn more.
Yeah, there ain't no doubt it's going to have some kind of domino effects on probably the rest of the teams. I'm with you 100%. I mean, if it wasn't for really Texas ain't any good. If it wasn't for Oklahoma, the Big 12 is a mediocre conference at best, I would say. Jeff, what do you think this will do for recruiting? I know that schools like Texas A&M are all up in arms about it, but what do you think it's going to do? If some Group of 5 teams start shifting around in conferences there.
I mean, I think it's a huge opportunity for the group of 5 schools that take advantage of it. There's going to be a lot of players that, maybe wanted to go to the Big 12 to play in some of those big time games. Maybe now they're not wanting to go because there's not the same competition there was. So if these conferences are smart, they'll try and either take on some of these extra teams that are left in the Big 12 and just recruit hard, especially, all the conferences really. Sunbelt's coming up, but especially like the American, Mountain West. They've been around and have some powerhouse teams now. They can do some damage, snag some big time players, I think, and take some of these schools and make their conferences bigger and stronger. The strong will survive. If these conferences don't do something, then their teams might possibly end up getting poached. So, they gotta circle the wagons and start making some moves here.
Yeah, and Jesse said it in his Miller Mondays. For us and you Group of 5 fans out there that are a little worried about your team, and all this money going around, I'll tell you how you can help this. Go to the damn games.
Yeah.
Give them a few bucks here and there for a ticket and a hot dog. maybe a beer if they're selling alcohol, and support your school. And if you don't, then don't come complaining, when they got to make some moves and take a step down, or they got to make changes around the conference. So, that's what we can do. That's what we as fans can do. You can go to the game. You can give your hard-earned money. You can support these guys, support these players. But I'm excited we're a little over a month away from week 1. Speaking of Texas, they're going to lose to Louisiana week 1. In my opinion,
I was biting my tongue over here. I wanted to say that so bad. I mean, with all this noise going on, I would not be surprised if there are some Big 12 shakeups. Because let's be honest, this may not be the primary reason, but the Sun Belt going week 1 and just beating 4 Big 12 teams last year probably doesn't help the fact that Oklahoma and Texas want to leave. So thanks, Sun Belt, for wrecking, causing this disruption for 2021.
Yeah, and wait for the Group of 5 to do it again this year. Might be 2 Texas and Oklahoma, with Oklahoma going to Tulane and Louisiana going to Texas. So it'll definitely be interesting, and we'll get a good idea week 1. We'll go down to Zeke. I see you chomping at the bit over there. You love the Sun Belt. You got Louisiana going to Texas week 1. You think Louisiana's the favorite, or what do you got going on down there?
To add to that, I mean, Texas wants to leave their conference, and which they weren't good anyways, and hop in a conference in a different talent pool. And as a cherry on top, we'll say a crawfish on top, the Raging Cajuns are going to come in and smoke them.
I love it.
Love it.
With the crawfish.
Well, I mean, they got, they lost to Coastal last year. They had some COVID issues, and then they wanted that redemption game really, really bad. At least I know their fans on Twitter wanted that game really bad. So, you look at the Sun Belt, you look at Louisiana, you look at Coastal. Are they the top 2 dogs, or what do you got going on?
Yeah, I think it's a 3-horse race in the Sun Belt. You've got some great teams there. You've got Coastal returning 19 starters. You've got App State returning 17, 10 of those 17 being on defense. And I think the kicker could be quarterback play. I mean, you got Chase Bryce, who came from Duke, who was at Clemson before, and he's coming in, and it really just depends on what he does. You've got 2 solid quarterbacks at Coastal, with that being Grayson McCall and then Levi Lewis, who's been there several years. And
Okay.
I think that with those teams, all 3 of them have good defenses. App State's got a solid defense, but it's going to be a 3-horse race in the Sun Belt, and they're all going to end up playing each other, and somebody's got to win. So on paper, I think Louisiana and Coastal battled it out, but the game could go either way there. I'm leaning towards Coastal. I'm a big supporter of Coastal this year. They look stout. I'm on the Coastal train right now. So
You don't think Coastal kind of falls back to the mean a little bit? I think they kind of, they jumped out at some people last year. They won some close games, to include the Louisiana win, where they won by a field goal, and Louisiana had 9 or 10 guys out with the COVID. So you don't think they fall back a little bit, or you think they keep this momentum train rolling?
Man, I think there's a lot of hype about Coastal, and I'm going to continue to hype them up. I like them. I like what they got going. Jamie Chadwell, he fires me up. So I see Coastal coming over Louisiana, but App State's right in there with them. It just really depends upon quarterback play between all 3 teams. So I think App State's defense is pretty stout. So they will help it.
Did y'all see Jamie Chadwell? He's on vacation or something. He has grown a mullet out like his 2 linebackers. I mean, talk about a guy though that probably has such a great relationship with his locker room. I mean, you hope a guy like that stays at Coastal for a while. And I think you look at Coastal and then you look at Napier at Louisiana. They're hot commodities. So you hope that both of them stay around. But we'll see what kind of seasons they have this year. I know you love the Chanticleers and the mullets over there at Coastal, Zeke. But we quit chewing on your ice cubes, by the way.
Hey, I'm chomping at the bit, baby.
Yeah,
I'm just waiting on my turn to talk.
That horse is ready to run.
My feet are over here just tapping. I'm trying my best to be a good boy and not interrupt. And I'm just over here. I'm sweating. My armpits are just
We can
watery.
see that.
Hold on. I got to take a timeout. Jesse said I'm sweating. Do y'all, if you got a YouTube, do yourself a favor. There is a news story where they interviewed Jesse Grisham coming out of a gym of some sort. and he was like,
that was a long time
there
ago.
was some new vitamin or something out, and they were promoting it, and they kept Jesse coming out of the gym.
This is post-college, by the way.
This
in
is
a t-shirt that's 2 or
post-college.
3 sizes too small, and they say, Jesse, what do you think about the vitamin? And he says, well, I'm in here sweating.
Just for credibility, it was a news story about how 2 glasses of red wine was just as good for you as working out daily. And they decided to see this bronze of a man walking out, and they wanted to get my opinion on it, in which I answered saying, I'm in here sweating. How is 2 glasses of wine going to equal to what I'm burning every night? And yeah, it's on YouTube, and I mean it's trending, got like 1.3 million views. And, but hey, I'm here talking to you, good folk. Let's get back to it. Yeah, sweating. I'm sweating right now, Sprouse, and I'm telling you right now, do.
It was 2 glasses of wine, they said, not 2 cases of Miller Lite. So that's where you kind of fell off the train a little bit.
This was 6 years ago. I was in shape then. 6 years ago, 6 years ago, I wasn't married. No, I wasn't. Sitting behind a desk in a cubicle every day. Anyway, what I'm trying to get to is for the Sun Belt, everything Zeke's saying is pretty spot on. Coastal Carolina's got a great ball club. They're going to have a lot of guys coming back. I think Zeke, you may have the numbers on this, but I think their first team preseason all conference, they have like 7 or 8 guys listed for both teams, so they're really good. I really like Levi Lewis a lot. I think he could have left last year. He came back. I think he kind of throws like 54 career touchdowns. And Zeke and I have talked about this before in the past. I think the guy's like 24-4 as a starter. So he's outstanding. I love the Louisiana faithful. A shout out to them. When we got this thing going, those guys gave us a lot of love. And I tell you what, it's weird, but ever since Group 5 guys started, I feel like Louisiana's getting better and better every year. So let's just see what happens this year. Yeah, you're welcome, Louisiana. Yeah. Billy, I've been still trying to get in touch with you. I think they'll come down to those 2 in the Sun Belt Championship. I will say if they do beat Texas, which I love Zeke saying, whip them like a crawfish bowl, whatever he said. I think if they beat Texas, they're going to have a great season and potentially can go undefeated. The Coastal Carolina game will be a hell of a game. Them and App State. I mean, the conference is very exciting. The Sun Belt Conference, that is. It's very exciting. And let's not forget about the teams like Georgia State and Troy. There's teams in that conference that can sneak up on you and bite that ass,
Well, everybody in the Sun Belt can kind of ruin any of those so-called top 3 seasons real quick. I mean, shout out to Georgia Southern, Jeep Wade, Chad Lunsford, appreciate you. But then you go all the way to the so-called bottom of the Sun Belt, and you look at La Monroe, who comes out of nowhere and hires Terry Bowden, and he brings in Rich Rod. I mean,
and his son.
Zeke, you think they'll at least make a splash and maybe score some points this year?
Yeah, I think they definitely have the talent pool, and obviously the offense coordinator to make some noise, so they could be a little sneaky. I just, they had, from what I looked, they didn't have very, very many notable transfers. So I think they will. They'll probably surprise some people. I mean, they're projected to be the last in the Sun Belt this year, so they may sneak up and surprise some people and finish a little higher than they're projected. But I think the real team, if you're looking at a dark horse or somebody that would sneak up on somebody, I think it's got to be Georgia State. Cornelius Brown, he's a pretty good player. They've also got 17 starters coming back. So I think we all remember what they did at the Balls a couple of years ago. So
yeah, they've got an NFL talent at left tackle too in Gilmore. So they're one. I mean, right in Atlanta, recruiting hotbed. I mean, there's definitely talent all over the place on that field. And the coach is a former App State guy too, so he's going to be a big culture guy. I'm with you. I love the Sun Belt, and top to bottom, it's damn good.
I tell you what, shout out to Georgia State. 2019, me and Sprouse made a trip there and had a blast, man. I tell you that's a good location, and I could see that university could take off any year.
Yeah.
So it's a good program.
Well,
it's a good hotbed.
I keep a 12-pack of Voodoo Rangers in the fridge at all times, strictly
Voodoo
because
Rangers.
of the state of Atlanta guys and the Georgia State boosters and alum out there. So
you've been drinking that for 2 years now. That guy got you
all because of that guy. I never had it before. He was like,
you just like the way he said it. I don't think
he looked me dead in the eye and he said, Voodoo Ranger. And I
didn't even introduce himself or anything.
I'm sorry.
Said.
Voodoo Ranger. And I was like, hey, look, brother, you look like you're having a good time. I'm down. And then he goes to the cooler and brings out these 2 Voodoo Rangers for me and Swag. And
the guy goes, Voodoo Rangers, Matt Sprouse. Voodoo Ranger, Matt Sprouse.
He did, though. I was like, what in the hell is this guy talking about, dude? Oh, man. But, yeah, man, I'll tell you what, I'm fired up. I'll go ahead and announce it. We have booked the trip out to App State to see the Marshall game on a Thursday night. So
Huge.
that's going to give us, one of the top teams in the Sun Belt versus probably one of the top teams in Conference USA. So, Tip, I mean, I know you're fired up for that game. Think more favorite, or who are you looking at in the Conference USA?
So for that particular game, I would assume probably App State's favored in that game since it's a home game. But watch out for Marshall in that game. They beat them last year. I could see Marshall beating them again. Marshall's one of the three teams in Conference USA that have a shot at winning the conference. I think Marshall will win the Eastern Division this year, even though they fired their head coach last year after last season, Doc Holliday, brought in a new head coach, Charles Huff. He was the running back coach at Alabama. Is that maybe going to change things up with the team? Maybe, but there's so much talent on that team. I don't think there's going to be any issues. They have who I believe is the best quarterback in all of Conference USA in Grant Wells. They have 3 out of their top 5 receivers coming back, 3 starting on linemen coming back. They're returning 8 starters on defense. That was one of the top defenses in Conference USA last season. Coming out of the West, I think it comes down to 2 teams. I think you got UAB, who's the defending champs from last year. They kind of got some question marks on offense coming into this year. They lost the all-time leading rusher for the school, running back Spencer Brown. He graduated. And then they lost their top receiver in Austin Watkins Jr. from last year. Their quarterback is back, and he was injured beginning of last year, came back towards the end of the season, and played really well. So he's back fully healthy coming into this year. So the real question mark is who's gonna fill in those running back and wide receiver roles. Again, this team has so many good players on this team. Bill Clark's done an amazing job at recruiting and player development. I think they're going to be right back up there at the top.
I got 2 questions for you, Tip.
Yeah.
Number 1, is Coach Huff going to be able to pay players the same way they do at Alabama?
Now, I don't know about that. We have seen here in recent times another former Alabama coaching staff member up at the University of Tennessee in Knoxville paying quite a bit of players. So, I mean, he's probably going to try. Maybe. Who knows? Is he going to get away with it?
He has to.
Yeah, probably. You want to win. I mean, no, I'm just kidding. We'd never do that. In the group of 5, we play with honor and integrity. Unlike these scumbags.
No, pay the players. They deserve it. Give them money. If Alabama's quarterback making $1 million, give UAB's quarterback something. My God.
Well, it was Alabama's fault that they, gave UAB the death penalty or whatever a couple years back, and then UAB comes back and wins the conference a bunch
Bill
of times.
Clark needs to go to Hoover High School with a new 2021 charger and be like, hey, best player for Hoover gets this car, come to UAB.
Yeah.
Thompson High School, I know my Alabama high school athletics. UAB is in a hotbed, and they can get good players. And I think that NIL should benefit schools such as UAB. Let's not just
they
tiptoe around
school
it.
down there in Spain Park, right?
Yeah,
Spain Park High School representing Jaguars, SBHS, go Jags, go.
Hey Jesse, by the way, what do you drive to this day?
2017 GMC Sierra.
So a Charger wouldn't quite have got you to UAB.
No,
I don't think Swag's getting in and out of a Charger.
I used to drive a Ford Fusion, my friend, and I ain't ever getting back in that thing again. I'm staying in the truck. But I'm not saying go get the center for Hoover. I'm saying go get the freaking receiver out there, or the linebacker. Get the best player on Hoover High School's team, Bill.
Getting you out of that Ford Fusion is probably like getting Jello out of a Jello shot.
Yeah, just
use your tongue.
You had to pry that baby.
Say, well,
grease you up a little bit.
I had to call the fire department again to get it out of the car.
Yeah, Jesse's stuck in the Fusion again.
Thought we were talking about Bill here.
But yeah, hey, on a serious note, though, they ought to be able to recruit. I drove through Birmingham the other day, and that stadium looks badass. And they open there. I think their home openers versus Liberty, which is a pretty good, kind of decent brand name. Had a hell of a year last year. It's a good home opener, and then they got FAU the following week. So, I mean, that stadium's sweet. They got that sort of I don't know if you want to call it an indoor or not. It's like a pavilion, but it's pretty cool looking. I mean, they'll be fired up. You got anybody else in Conference USA? You got anybody, or is it a 2-team race and that's it, or what do you got at the bottom or towards the middle?
I think there's a third team that is definitely competitive with your Marshall and UAB, but then I have a dark horse as well that's middle of the pack right now. Who I think can compete right now with Marshall and UAB is UTSA in the West Division. And why do I say that? 2 words: Sincere McCormick. That's it. That's why. He is an absolute stud running back. He can do it all. He can catch out of the backfield. He's quick. He's elusive. He's got breakaway speed. He is the real deal. And arguably top 5, top 3 running back in the country. They have their starting quarterback, Frank Harris, coming back. He's also he rushes a lot. He averaged 50 rushing yards per game last year, had 9 rushing touchdowns, also had 12 throwing touchdowns. Their offense is very much an option style where you're going to see Frank Harris running the ball sometimes. You're also going to see Sincere McCormick running the ball quite a bit. And then they're going to play action off that, and Frank Harris can throw the ball downfield. So they have a very dangerous offense. They were average on defense last year. This is what worries me about them this upcoming season. They're returning 10 starters on defense, but they were average as far as giving up points last year. So if those 10 starters and that experience that they've gotten last year can help improve that defense, that November 20th matchup between UAB at UTSA, that game, in my opinion, is going to determine who comes out of the West Division and who plays Marshall in the Conference USA Championship. Now, for my dark horse,
hang on a sec, Tip. I just was looking it up. NFL Draft Scout has McCormick as the number 9 running back in the draft coming up. So
number 9.
So he's the first.
Is there any group of 5 guys in front of him?
What's that?
Is there any other group of 5 guys in front of him?
Well, that I did not look up.
Okay.
I mean, I would imagine.
Those things are always so off.
But they don't have a clue.
I can't stand those projections and all that nonsense.
Well, plus there's going to be somebody that nobody's ever heard of that comes out and runs a, 4.3 something 40 that, Jerry Jones, and and your Raiders are going to jump all over.
Well, I was
'cause
just going to
'cause
say
the
we'll probably take everyone's projected 4th round pick in the first round like we've done the last 4 or 5 seasons. So
Hey, look, you want to play for the Raiders? Just run a 40. You ain't even got to be able to play football.
that's it.
Just run a good 40.
That's
I
it.
mean, sorry, Jesse, you ain't got it, boss. Here's a guy that took a minute and a half to run 200 yards. It took the rest of the
Don't bring that
25
back up.
seconds.
I told the story wrong. Look,
Anyway, Tip, who's your dark horse in Conference USA?
My dark horse this year is out of the East Division, Western Kentucky, the Hill Toppers. They have several transfers coming in this year that if they all gel, then and it can get everything to work and click, then they can make a run this year. They have a transfer quarterback coming in out of Houston Baptist, Bailey Zappi. This guy last year, and it was only 4 games, small sample size, but in those 4 games, 66% complete percentage, 458 yards per game, 15 touchdowns, only 1 interception. And so what Western Kentucky did, they hired a new OC this year, Zach Kitley, who just so happened to be the offensive coordinator for Bailey Zappi at Houston Baptist.
Well, what a coincidence.
What
Say that
a
3 times
coincidence.
fast.
And we'll be seeing them, half of the group of 5 guys will be seeing them live on October 9th against the
Is that the
Roadrunners.
Indiana game?
No, they're playing at Western against UTSA. Me, Tip, and Zeke we're going to that game.
Yeah, it's gonna be a
Get
great
some
game.
exclusive footage of Sincere McCormick's calves. That'll give you his draft stock right there. You look at his glutes and his calves.
Oh, no doubt.
That's going to tell you where he's at.
That's gonna be a good
bump up
matchup
2
too.
spots in the draft.
That's gonna be a good matchup too for Sincere because Western Kentucky had one of the better defenses last year in Conference USA. So if we'll see how he does that game against them. But Western Kentucky's issues last year were they weren't scoring enough points. Had a good defense, weren't scoring enough points. So if Bailey Zappi can come in and gel and get clicking everything on offense, I was watching some of his film from last year at Houston Baptist, and Zach Kitley likes to throw the ball downfield. He likes to air it out. They have great game options with the routes and everything like that on the offense, and they'll throw some deep, throw some intermediate passes, and then look to go deep and beat you over the top. So I'm excited to see what they do this year, and see if they can score enough points. And if they do, and if everything gels well, they can compete with Marshall in that East Division and can maybe even just shock the Conference USA world and make it to the championship and maybe even win it.
Do you have any thoughts on another running back? What about Frank Gore's son, Frank Gore Jr. at Southern Miss?
I was gonna bring him up. He just unfortunately plays for Southern Miss. They're just not a very good football team at the moment. But Frank Gore Jr. coming into his sophomore year last year as a freshman looked great, looked incredible. So great player. He's probably going to be first team all conference and everything like that. But I mean, when you're playing for a team that their defense averaged a little over 32 points per game last year, it's just tough to win a lot of football games.
Yeah, I hope the Conference USA can bounce back. They got some pretty historic programs that have been struggling as of late. And it's weird saying Southern Miss has not got a good ball club because, I mean, I think of Southern Miss. I think of a team that has a winning record year to year, and it's just I want these guys to bounce back.
Yeah. Conference USA is funny about that you might have a team go, win 10 games one year, the next year they win 2 games, and then the next year they're playing for the conference championship. And it's kind of, other than right now, what looks like Marshall and UAB, it's usually a pretty balanced conference where anybody can beat anybody. I mean, you still got FAU down there. And I mean, Willie Taggart's been recruiting pretty well. He's got some transfers coming in. And speaking of another, recruiting hotbed program, FAU you can't sleep on. So let's hope they can all bounce back in Conference USA.
I mean, Tipton, I'm probably just going to put the spotlight on you, but I can't not ask because the jersey's right behind me. What do you think about the Blue Raiders this year? How do you think they're going to pan out?
I'm hoping they bounce back. They've had a couple of bad seasons in a row. They have some strong offensive transfers coming in. Bailey Hawkman, quarterback out of NC State. He's going to remind a lot of people of Brent Stockstill when you see him play. He's a lefty. He's mobile and can throw the ball downfield and can also run if he needs to get out of pressure, get out of the pocket, similar to what Brent Stockstill did when he was there. Brought in two really good offensive linemen, one out of Arizona, Jamari Williams, and then the other one out of Georgia, Notori Johnson. Got a new offensive coordinator in this year, Brent Dearman. Shout out Brent Dearman. He's a Group of 5 guy.
No doubt.
Looked great in the hoodie, Brent.
Repping the hoodie.
I think
Thank
that's
you very
be
much.
the biggest addition, honestly. I mean, the players are great, but I think the philosophy that guy brings and his attitude is it's going to change the culture big time.
And he got a promotion from Kansas to Middle Tennessee. So
no question.
He's taking the right step.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's everybody obviously wants out of the Big 12 right now. Some people, I tweeted it out. Some people for the money and the greed, and other people because they care about their players and they care about football. So yeah, I'll let you decide which one's which on that. But yeah, it'd be exciting. I mean, you talked about Brent. You bring him in. He's already helping with some of the local recruiting in that area. So it'll be exciting. The whole conference, I mean, it's going to be a big year for the Group of 5 in general. I mean, Sun Belt Conference USA. Yeah, ain't no doubt. And I'll just go ahead and say it for the Conference USA, as far as what I said earlier about going to the games and supporting your teams. Y'all might be the worst fan bases. So y'all better start showing up. And otherwise, they're going to be the teams that are,
that was Dad right there. That was Dad saying, hey, I'm just letting y'all know y'all are really disappointing me right now.
Yeah, I'm not bad. I'm just disappointed.
I mean, we've seen firsthand. I mean, we've
seen
me
more than it's hurting you.
We've seen that exact thing firsthand.
Yeah.
Even we've been so for everyone. I don't even think we mentioned this. For everyone that doesn't know, that all 5 of us graduated from MTSU. So the other 4 guys played at MTSU. I did not, but I was a supporter. I was there every single game supporting the guys. But we saw firsthand where a very good MTSU football team was not putting any fans in the stands. The fans just were not showing up.
That was all 5 years I was there. I mean, we were outstanding, and I led the way.
Tip. So MTSU's QB transfer, his name is Bailey
Hawkman.
Correct, Bailey Hawkman.
And Western Kentucky's QB transfer, his name is Bailey
Zappi.
I mean, hell, 100 miles of hate, rivalry game, 2 quarterbacks named
Battle
Bailey.
of the Baileys.
It doesn't get any better than that. It doesn't get any better. It really doesn't. Oh, well, that's good stuff, Tip. Going on to probably the conference that has the most loyal fan bases in the country. In my opinion, it's the Mountain West. And Jeff, you're the resident Cali guy. You're the resident West Coast guy. What are your thoughts on the Mountain West this year?
Yeah, I think the Mountain West really comes down to you got 2 to 3 teams that really are gonna push for the title. I mean, the returning champs and San Jose State Spartans, they're returning a lot of firepower on offense. Nick Starkel's coming back on defense. Cade Hall, who might be one of the top defensive ends in the country.
Yep.
Coming back, he's a stud. So I would say they're probably the most well balanced offensively and defensively. So that's why I think that they have the best shot to really take that conference. But you got Nevada, man. Nevada and that Wolfpack offense. Carson Strong, he's coming back. He's got 3 receivers coming back. I mean, that chemistry is just going to continue to grow and get better. And then look out, Boise State's always going to be there. They got such a good program. They just got to get, stay healthy on offense. Their defense is very, very good. They got a great receiver. So they just gotta put up some points to kind of help that defense. And look out for Fresno State, man. Those guys can put up points. Jake Hayner can really throw the ball. He's got 3 receivers coming back as well. I think they have a real shot to make some noise. out there. My biggest thing, guys, is last year was just such a weird season. I mean, you had some teams, they only played 3-4 games. Most of them played about 6. So I'm just really interested to see having to play a full season again, seeing what's going to happen. So I'm just excited to get a full season, hopefully, of football back. And there's a bunch of teams that out in the Mountain West that could honestly just come up and surprise you. Wyoming is returning almost all their starters. I think it's 19 starters coming back. Great linebacker in Chad Muma. I'm a huge fan of that guy. 6'3", 230 pounds. Guy can run. He can hit. He led I think he was top 3 in tackles in the Mountain West last year. So, they could make a big jump. It's just, but I think it's going to be San Jose State that takes it, wins it again.
Well,
That's my pick.
The Mountain West got, maybe the weirdest COVID deal,
Yeah.
just due to the geography in California and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Boise is interesting. They lose their coach who goes to Auburn, but then they bring in kind of a Boise guy. So it seems like they got like a renewed energy there.
Yeah, they do. I mean, they always have such a good fan base. I mean, their fans show up, for every game. They support them, the blue turf, all that, and they just got such a strong prestige about their university, about their program, that they're always good and they're always in the running. But they got to get more production from the quarterback spot. They haven't had that in quite a few years. So if he can stay healthy and stay on the field, they'll have a good shot.
Yeah. Well, plus they're selling beer now.
Big time.
In Boise. So it might get a little rowdy out there in Boise, Idaho.
Absolutely.
But, did you see, I can't remember who it was, but somebody on Instagram or Twitter was talking mess about San Jose State and about Nick Starkel.
Yeah, about Nick Starkel. Yeah, some clown posted the worst starting quarterbacks of the SEC in the last 10 years, and they had Starkel on there twice when he was at Arkansas, and the other school he was at, and I was just like, well, maybe it wasn't him, it was the schools that didn't know how to use him, because he's shining over at San Jose State. I mean, he is like a 10th year senior, but I mean the guy's a stud. I like him a lot.
Where do we know where he's from originally? Like where did he grow up high school wise? I think he's a Texas guy, isn't he?
I'm not 100% sure on that. I'd have to look that up. I know he bounced around a bunch.
Yeah, just wondering if maybe he got, somewhere where just in his personal world he was more comfortable and just able to relax and put it all together. I mean, you never really know.
I mean, at Arkansas, I mean, they've had such a tough time with their program. I mean, I just think when you put a guy in the best situation, to be successful, that's part of coaching and being a coach for the last 5 years at the high school level, at least. Like, that's what it's all about. I mean, a kid's going to have raw talent and you can't teach that. But if you're putting that guy in a terrible situation or a offense, specifically quarterback wise, that does not fit him, he's not going to do well and your team's not going to win. So I just think it's a combination of him having so much experience, knowing so much offensively, being in so many different systems, and then finally finding the right fit out in San Jose.
And I'll go on a limb here and I'll say this. Even if I was in Texas and an SEC school, Arkansas wanted me to come be a quarterback for them, but I felt more comfortable going to San Jose State, I would go to San Jose State.
No, any day of the week.
You're going to be a punching bag at Arkansas. I don't think they protected a quarterback in 16 years.
No.
But didn't they have Ryan Mallett? I remember watching him on Gruden's camp. I mean, you could tell he was hitting the head a few times.
Yeah. What happened here? What happened here? I got sacked.
Tell me why you didn't see the pressure here, man.
Because they rushed 3 and I got sacked. I mean,
they didn't pick up a simple twist. Anyway, I mean, I think Nick Starkel's a great example, for the argument for the transfer portal and for the transfer rules and whatnot. I mean, sometimes, man, it's just not the right fit. Sometimes, yes, I'm with you. Kids get carried away. They want too much. They're a little entitled. But I think sometimes, you got to find the right fit where you're going to benefit as a player and then, for your future after ball. So I think he's a perfect example.
Yeah.
So, so your dark horse is kind of Wyoming. What are your thoughts on Utah State?
Utah State's had a tough time the last couple of years, especially offensively, putting up points. I mean, their defense has been middle of the road. I think they were 6th or 7th overall last year, but they got a new head coach, Blake Anderson, coming from Arkansas. He's bringing a quarterback with him, Logan Bonner. So he knows, he's going to know the system. Their offensive coordinator's coming from UCF, so I think that's going to be a big addition, and they're going to really want to push the tempo up and get that offense moving, put those points up. I mean, he had a good track record at Arkansas putting points up, so I think that's going to be a big boost for them. I just think they just need a few more pieces. Get this guy a few years, coaching under his belt over there at Utah State. But one of our buddies actually is over there, right, Grish?
About to say, fellow brother offensive lineman, played beside him for a couple of years. Micah James leading the O line. So, great guy. He knows what he's talking about. I'm very excited for him. I actually got to see him not too long ago, and I'm very excited for his opportunity at Utah State. He seems to be pretty excited. That they know they got something to prove, and I'm excited to see what 2021 holds for them.
Yeah, they've got. Blake Anderson's traditionally a really good recruiter. It'll be interesting how he does, going kind of out west like that. If he's got the relationships, I don't know. But Utah State's got great facilities,
No
and
doubt.
it's interesting, to touch back on the Sun Belt a little bit. So they had a 2-quarterback problem last year with Lane Hatcher and Bonner, and so Blake Anderson goes to Utah State and brings Bonner. Now he's got a home. And Lane Hatcher might be one of the best quarterbacks in the Sun Belt. So, again, with the transfer, I mean that's going to hopefully work out for both of those guys. So, again, yeah, Mountain West is top to bottom really good. I noticed you didn't talk about the Falcons at the Air Force Academy playing at the high altitude. No big deal.
They can run the ball.
Well, ain't no doubt they can run the ball. That's what happens when you have supreme athletes on your front 5 on the O-line. That's all that is.
That's
great athletes. Ain't no knee braces running around. No Don Joy knee braces running around at the academy. I can tell you that.
They don't wear knee braces there? Do they not wear them?
They don't have to. Oh, at least they didn't 10 years ago. And funny enough, when I went to a place that I had to wear one, that's when my knee fell off. So how's that? How's that for working for you? Honestly, there should be a class action lawsuit on the Don Joy knee brace because they don't work. I mean, but me and Jesse are prime example. Hell, Murph too.
I did. I never wore one, but mine, yeah. That was an old turf problem there, but
yeah,
that's bringing up old wounds.
Well, Jesse, I can see the sweat stains coming through your armpits again.
I got no sweat stains, baby. I'm ready.
You are cool, calm, and collected, ready to talk about the American Conference.
Yeah,
and they better not try to pull some Power 5 stunt on us.
I hope
we
not.
love the American.
I mean, the American Conference, it's making a lot of noise right now, especially with this realignment, conspiracies, theories, and a lot of that is because of the credibility to these teams. Cincinnati, without y'all even asking me, who do I think is going to win the conference? Since Cincinnati's pretty loaded, they're arguably the best team in the group of 5. They have the quarterback came back this year, Desmond Ridder. And, I mean, just last year, the guy threw just under 2,300 yards and had 19 touchdowns and only threw, 4 interceptions. So that speaks for itself. The receivers are coming back. Jerome Ford, he's going to be the running back this year. Last year, he averaged about 6.6 yards per carry. So he's probably going to be a star player. And let me back up also with Desmond Ridder coming back. The guy was the American Offensive Player of the Year. So, I mean, he's the real deal. But not only that, do they have him on offense? Let's go to their defense, Matt. They have a consensus All-American, Ahmad Gardner, at DB. And that guy's probably going to be a first-round pick. And I'm excited to see that guy go up to Notre Dame, and make some plays for the group of 5. And just to add to their defense, who literally they have almost all their players coming back. Cincinnati does on defense. Majace, correct me if I'm wrong. if you're listening to this, I'm sorry. It's Majay Sanders. He is. Is that it? I don't know.
I think it's Majai.
Majay.
I think. Don't quote me on that. Look, send us a
Majay.
DM, Mr. Sanders.
Well, either way, that guy, he's a boss. You know, he got 7 sacks last year, and I'm sure he's just going to grow from that for this year. So I'm excited to see Cincinnati. I've been wary on their weak spot is they're losing both their starting tackles this year, and they have to replace those guys. They go in week 1 playing Miami, Ohio, where Cameron Butler is 2-time All-MAC defensive end, so it'll be interesting to see him going against these 2 new tackles. But hey, Cincinnati is starting to prove themselves. I'm sure they're just going to reload at offensive line. So very excited to see Cincinnati. They are the team to beat in the American.
What all the hype's around UCF and Gus Malzahn. What's your thoughts on the Knights?
My thoughts on the Knights are, hey, Gus Malzahn is probably the. I don't want to say he's the biggest coach right now in the group of 5. I'm not saying he's the best coach. Billy, Louisiana, looking at you. I think that Gus Malzahn, though, he's definitely going to make an impact. Talked about this with Zeke before in the past. They're getting some transfers, man. Not only transfers, but they got Dylan Gabriel at quarterback, who, golly, his freshman year, did y'all realize this? His freshman year, the guy threw 32 touchdown passes his freshman year at UCF. So he's coming back. This is going to be his junior year, and they're very excited for him. But now you got Dylan Gabriel, and with Gus Malzahn, hey, a lot of these Power 5 transfers are saying, let's go see what Gus is doing in Orlando. I mean, they got running backs coming from Auburn and Northwestern. That's Anthony Richards and Isaiah Bowser I'm talking about. And receiver-wise, they have guys that looking to make an impact this year. Tennessee transfer Braden Johnson and Nate Craig Myers from Auburn. So they have Tennessee and Auburn players already going to be playing for them at UCF. Not saying I'm Tennessee Auburn thinking they're everything, but
I was just about to say.
I'm not saying that they're the best players ever. I'm just saying they're having transfers come in that are going to try to make an impact. Not only that, though, I will say this, Jeff, they do have a pretty good defensive end transfer from Auburn who was once a former All-SEC.
Big Cat
Bryant, defensive end. So they're going to be good. Are they going to be good enough to beat Cincinnati? I don't know, but give Gus Bus about a year or two. UCF's going to be rocking and rolling. Hopefully they stay in the group of 5.
Yeah, I think UCF. I look at Gus Malzahn, and I agree with you, Jess. I think he's the biggest name. But I could see him. I could see Billy Napier, Jamie Chadwell. I could see them taking the quote bigger job. I don't think Gus is going anywhere, man.
I don't either. He's got his taste at Auburn, and hey, no offense, Gus, but now you ain't got to worry about seeing Uncle Nick every year. So he's probably going to live it up at UCF, and his biggest fear is if it's going to rain that day or not. He'll be all right.
And he'll be living on the golf course next to Lee Corso in Orlando. Retire. They'll probably give him a spot on game day. I mean, that guy's got it made. They got facilities that are right on par with the rest of the Florida schools. I'd be worried if I was Florida State, or Miami. I can tell you that. I'd be worried about UCF.
Yeah, their facilities are right there with even Florida. I mean, they got some great facilities in Orlando. They really do.
Yeah, and the stadium, they call it the bounce house. That thing, I remember the first time that I saw UCF, and it was on TV. I think they hosted Texas. And this was back in the day. This was probably 2007 or 2008 when they were just kind of starting this rise to prominence, and that place was cranked the hell up, and it's 100 times that right now.
In my opinion, when I think of group of 5 stadiums at full capacity, that's the stadium I think of. I'm like, it gives you that Power 5 feeling. Now, Memphis had the same thing in 2019 when Game Day came and hosted them at SMU, but UCF, they're pretty consistent on keeping a pretty good crowd capacity in that stadium. So they're UCF. There's history there, and Gus Malzahn, for all I know, him and SpaceX, what's his name?
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk. Him and Elon Musk are probably getting connected.
I was waiting for like a football player.
Yeah, me too.
Or something.
No, I went brain dead, but no, Elon Musk and him, there's no telling. They're probably DMing each other. And I know Gus Malzahn goes to Disney World free. I know you do. I know he does. So, he's living it up, having a good time. But other than that, though, Sprouse, I don't want to just talk about UCF and Cincinnati. There's some sleepers in the American that people just, for some reason, they just don't talk about. And, my sleeper, if anybody's going to beat Cincinnati, I really like Tulsa. I think Tulsa is going to have a pretty good year. They have Davis Brin, who, came in last year, and they love the guy. He let a comeback win near the end of the season, and he's going to have every offensive lineman returning. The only issue with Tulsa that everybody wants to talk about with Tulsa is how they lost Zaven Collins last year, the consensus All-American. But besides him, Sprouse, everybody's coming back on defense. So,
yeah.
And they play Oklahoma State week 2, and with the Big 12 shaking up and everybody just, thumb up their butt, I could see Tulsa coming in there and making noise. So,
yeah, I mean, you had Zaven Collins was Defensive Player of the Year last year for the country now, not just for the American. You might have 2 years in a row the American put out the best defensive player in the country with Gardner at Cincinnati this year.
Yeah.
So, or Sanders at Cincinnati. I mean, so that's the good stuff out of the American. Now, of course, I'm fired up to start watching football on Tuesday nights. And we know that means Tuesday night action. And I've got a couple of teams I'm looking at. I can tell you everybody's looking at Ball State and Buffalo. Ball State wins the conference last year they won 3 games. So imagine that. You win your conference championship. You probably get a big ring for winning 3 games. But, hey, they only lost 1 game, and they got just about everybody coming back. They got the quarterback Plitt coming back. Their coach just got an extension, so they're fired up. They got some good facilities, so they ought to be recruiting pretty well. Buffalo, they lose Jarrett Patterson, who was probably the Sincere McCormick of last year. One of the better running backs in the country. But they got Kevin Marks coming back. They got a lot of good offensive linemen coming back. They lost their coach to Kansas. Apparently the only guy wanting to go to the Big 12. But we love you, Lance. You were a great supporter of the Group of 5 guys when you were at Buffalo. So
I'm sorry, I just now reprocessed that. He's got the Big 12, and he's like, damn.
Yeah. Well, I told him. I shot him a DM when he left. I said, Coach, thanks for the support, but shot him the Stone Cold GIF or whatever
Here's
it is.
to you.
Yeah, here's to you. But no, you wish him well at Kansas. But I mean, we're going to be real here. Has anybody ever done well at Kansas except that was that real fat guy they had for a while there? Like 2006, they were.
Yeah, what was his name? Oh my God,
I can't think of the guy's name.
Was it Mangini?
I want to say Weiss, but it's not Weiss.
It wasn't Weiss. He was there for a while. It was Mangini, wasn't it?
Maybe it sounds familiar.
Yeah,
where's our stats guy?
Was. But anyway, back to the MAC. And in the interest of time, I'm going to get to my dark horse and my winner. Dark horse. I am a gigantic fan of Dustin Crum and the Kent State Golden Flashes. And I think they're going to beat out Buffalo, and they're going to play for the MAC championship. However, ready? Drum roll. Team coming back with almost every single starter, and for sure the best defense in the MAC is Toledo. And I think Toledo consistently over the years has been probably, one of the top teams in the MAC, and I think they'll be back on top this year. So I got Toledo over Kent State for the MAC championship. And again, I can't wait to watch these guys on Tuesday nights primetime. Dustin Crum, I'm starting a hashtag Dustin Crum for Heisman. And every Tuesday night when
I hope he does. I will be your biggest fan if that's what happens.
Well, I mean, look, you watch The Bachelor on Monday night. You watch MAC football on Tuesday night. Wednesday night, you watch Love Island. Okay. Thursday night, you watch whatever game's on.
Just gonna let you keep going.
Friday night, you go watch the Spain Park Jaguars versus the Hoover Buccaneers, to which, I think Hoover's got a 52-year winning streak.
Actually, there's a new team in town, but let's not talk about high school football, but it's Thompson. No, man. I agree with you, man. Action is literally probably the best thing. It's one of the best things that happen in college football, in my opinion. Yeah, a good Tuesday night match because nothing's on Tuesday night. And if you can watch a primetime future NFL quarterback from Kent State,
That's right.
why not?
Yeah, and he needs to be trending on Twitter. Crumb for Heisman every Tuesday night. Let's make it happen. Book it. Write
So
it
you
down.
think he'll be in New York?
Well, I'm guaranteeing. I've already called Fidelity, and I've got my 401k on a Group of 5 guy in New York. Right now, I'm thinking it's Crumb, but we gotta let the season play out.
I like the guy. The kick and spin it. I love him.
Hang on, this is going to drive me crazy. Tipton, who's the Kansas head coach?
So his name was Mark Mangino.
Mangino, okay.
Yeah, you know who I was thinking of was I think Eric Mangini, who was I think with the Jets maybe for a while.
He was with a lot of teams.
He was
Browns,
big too, though, wasn't he? He was overweight.
Yeah, but that guy.
What else you gonna do in Kansas?
He was deuce and a half, close to 3, I think.
Well, with a name like Mangino, I mean, you're probably eating, deep dish pizzas every night.
Oh, no question. Bunch of cannoli.
And the Grisham baked ziti probably.
So, look at y'all and look at y'all in y'all's boxes. Y'all are like right there, and I'm like right here.
What are you talking about? Well, look, hey, the
how broad my
shoulders
are.
Podcast. I've had a hell of a time tonight. This is going to be about the fans. We want your input. We want y'all to go to Twitter, go to Facebook, go to Instagram, shoot us a DM. We have an email address, group5guys@gmail. How's that?
Pretty simple.
And I think, Swag, you've got the first one.
I believe
one. It's from a Raging Cajun fan. What
yeah, man. Yeah, Raging Cajun 92. He shot us an email here saying, as a huge fan of the Raging Cajuns, I think they are the best team in the Sun Belt, and I have the ability to go undefeated for the season. So, in our opinion, which Group of 5 team has the best chance to make the college playoff this upcoming season?
Everybody's got about 10 seconds on this.
Well, I'll go first. I'm going to go Cincinnati. Them guys are loaded. They're the best team in the Group of 5.
Tip, who you got?
So I was going to go back to his first part of his email. I agree. I think the Raging Cajuns can go undefeated this year. Best team, Group of 5 to make the best chance to make the playoff this year. It's got to be Cincinnati.
All right, Cincinnati. Jeff Murphy.
As much as I hate agreeing with everybody, I mean, as far as just the way that they pick the teams, I mean, Cincinnati's has the best track record of the last, handful of seasons of being up there. So I think it's them. I think they take it. But I'm with them. I think they take the Sun Belt. I think that's who wins the Sun Belt this year.
Zeke, who's got the best chance to make the playoff?
I'm not gonna agree with y'all, fruit balls. I'm going UCF, baby.
Ooh.
Gus Malzahn.
Gus Bus.
They're big, and they're stout. That's who I'm going with.
I figured he's going to go with Coastal.
I thought he was too, and I thought his reasoning was going to be because of the mullet haircuts. But I'm gonna. So I got to go with Cincinnati too. Like Jeff said, assuming they go undefeated, they're going to have the best resume according to these clowns we have in the committee.
They will have the best resume, but I'll tell you right now, I do like the email, and I do think Cincinnati's the best team. But I love Louisiana, and if they beat Texas, they can run the board. They can be in the playoffs as well.
Yeah,
I got 3 things to say.
I got 5 on it.
Louisiana over Texas, week 1. But also in the Sun Belt, you got 2 weeks in October. If you're interested in the Sun Belt at all, you need to be fired up about 2 weeks. It's October 12th and October 20th. October 12th, you got App State at Louisiana. And then October 20th, you got Coastal at App State. That's going to tell you everything you need to know about the Sun Belt right there.
Boom. Hot take.
I love it. Can't wait, in the words of Bart Scott. Well, look, guys, everybody, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching if you're watching. Thanks for following us on the social media. This is going to be a gigantic year, 2021. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Group of 5 Guys. Don't forget to join the Facebook group, Group of 5 Guys. You can watch this podcast via YouTube or listen to any of your normal podcast listening devices.
America,
apps.
go to the YouTube right now.
Go to the YouTube right now. So Zeke already kind of gave it to us. We're going to do something every week called Last Call. And so what we're going to do is I, Sprouse, your host, am going to choose a winner based on who I thought had the best points made over the course of the podcast. So who had the best arguments or who had the best hot take. And the good news for me is I get to choose it, so it's my opinion, so I don't really care what anybody says. And I'm going with Zeke today. But I feel like Zeke already gave his last call. Was
talk
it
to y'all
about
later.
2 weeks in October?
2 weeks in October. It's a 3-horse race in the Sun Belt. Like I said, October 12th and October 20th. You're going to find out everything you need to know.
Boom.
Can't
Right
wait.
here.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's been fun. Group of 5 guys, we're out.